So today is Nityānanda Trayodaśī, 2023. So we'll read a little bit about Nityānanda Prabhu. Of course, there is a whole chapter on the glories of Nityānanda Prabhu. All that whole chapter, which is I think chapter 5. Is it the Prasadam one? Yeah, there is Prasadam Galan. Water, no, because today is fasting, half-day fasting. Don't bow down here. Don't bow down in front of the deities. Don't bow down to anybody else except the Guru in front of the deities. Okay, so there is chapter 5 of the Adilila Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is the glories of Nityānanda Prabhu. So that whole chapter is based on 5 verses that glorify Nityānanda Prabhu. I'm just going to check how the... So the 5 verses actually start from Adilila 1, chapter 1, text 7, all the way to 11. So it is good to actually memorize all this. I myself have not memorized. So this is the first verse. Take out your hand from there. So please repeat. Sankarshana Karana Toya Shayi Garbhoda. Actually Garbha Uda Shayi Cha Payah Abhi Shayi Sheshah Cha Yasya Amsha Kalaha Saha Nityānanda Akhya Rāma Sharanam Mama Astu. Sankarshana Karanato Yashayi Garbhodashayi Cha Payobdhishayi Sheshascha Yasyam Shakalah Sanitya Nandakhya Rama Sharanam Mamastu. Actually, the third and fourth line, it should be said together because the word is half. Nityānandakhya. So Nitya and Nandakhya is, so it's actually one word. So we will chant again, but this time third and fourth line will be together. Sankarshana Karanato Yashayi Garbhodashayi Cha Payobdhishayi Sheshascha Yasyam Sakalasa Nityanandakhya Rama Sharanam Mamastu. Sankarshana, Mahasankarshan in the spiritual sky. Karana Toya Shayi, Karanodakashayi Vishnu, who lies in the causal ocean. Garbha Udashayi, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, who lies in the Garbhodaka ocean of the universe. Cha and Payaha Abdhishayi Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, who lies in the ocean of milk. Sheshaha, Sheshanag, the couch of Vishnu. Cha, and Yasya, whose Amsha, plenary portions. Kalaha, and parts of the plenary portions. Saha, he. Nityānanda Akhya, known as Lord Nityānanda. Rāma, Lord Balaram. Sharanam, shelter. Mama, my. Astu, let there be. Yeah, you got to, hit the garland against the wall so that the ants fall out. Otherwise, all over the prasadam garlands are like that. Usually, the ants will come. Just hit it. Whatever I think will. Translation and purport. Oh no, there's no purport here. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jaya. Translation: May Sri Nityānanda Ram be the object of my constant remembrance. Sankarshan, Sheshanag, and the Vishnus who lie on the Karana ocean, Garbha ocean, and the ocean of milk are his plenary portions and the portions of his plenary portions. Please repeat. May Sri Nityānanda Ram be the object of my constant remembrance. Sankarshan, Sheshanag, and the Vishnus who lie on the Karana ocean, Garbha ocean, and ocean of milk are his plenary portions and the portions of his plenary portions. So, next verses we will just chant and follow. So actually, if you see, there is a structure of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So the way Krishnadas Kaviraj wrote this Chaitanya Charitamrita is, it's the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But before he goes to the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he first establishes that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, Nityananda Prabhu is Balaram, Advaita is Mahavishnu, Gadadhar is Radharani, and Srivas is Narada. And he extensively describes the glory and the actual position of the Panchatattva first. He dedicates, I think, first, the entire almost first Adilila. 12th, we are in 12th chapter, it's still about Advaita Acharya's disciplic succession. I think going down, I don't know how many chapters, I haven't actually seen. Let me take out. Let's see how many. Okay, so the expansions of Lord Nityānanda, expansions of Advaita Acharya, until 12th chapter. It's all about the glories of the Panchatattva and their parampara, Guru parampara coming from them, disciplic succession after them. Only at the 13th chapter is the advent of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Advent means birth. So then it starts only the Leela, the pastimes. So until then it's just the glories. So that's how he wrote this Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now, how did he mention the glories of the Lord and his Panchatattva? So he first of all did this. If we go Yeah, to our this one. See, Adilila. The first 14 verses are very important. In fact, the first 12 chapters, especially the first 9 chapters. No, wait. The first 7 chapters. And then again 9, 10, 11, 12. 8, well, a little bit, but he receives the orders of the Guru. The first 7 chapters is the glories of the Panchatattva. First 7 chapters. And all the first 7 chapters are based on the first 14 verses of the Adilila. First chapter, first 14 verses, he says, and each verse he explains. Like the first 2 verses are explained in the first chapter. He says the 14 verses, and after that, 3 other verses he says, which is Sambandha, Abhidheya, Prayojana, Adideva. You know, I don't know, you understand? Huh? So then, anyway, I'll show you. So if you followed the Chaitanya Charitamrita classes, then you will understand. Anyway, first chapter is first 2 shlokas. Second chapter is the third shloka. Let's see. Okay, second chapter is also the first chapter. Second chapter is the third verse. Explanation of the third verse only. Third chapter is explanation of the fourth verse. Fourth chapter is explanation of fifth and sixth verses in the first 14 verses. Okay. So Adilila. See these Adilila 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, all the way until 114. So these are the 14 verses glorifying Panchatattva. Okay. 15th, 16th and 17th are the glorification of Sambandhadideva, Abhidheyadideva and Prayojanadideva. So the Sambandha, Abhidheya, Prayojana, you know. Okay. So, yeah, Sambandha means our relationship with Kṛṣṇa. Abhidheya means our engagement in Krishna's service after having understood the relationship. Oh, I am servant, so I have to serve. So to engage in that service is Abhidheya. And Prayojana means the goal of life, the goal, which is to attain love of Godhead. So, no. So these 3 verses, 15, 16 and 17. So, Sambandha, Jnana, there is a presiding deity for Sambandha. The knowledge of Sambandha, there is a presiding deity that under whom the Sambandha Jnana is. So he is called Sambandha Adhideva. That is Madan Mohan. All 3 are Krishna only, but different names. Madan Mohan Vigraha is the Sambandhadideva. So this 15th verse is about Sambandhadideva Madan Mohan. Then there is Abhidheyadideva, the process of devotional service. Presiding deity is Govinda. Then Gopinath is the presiding deity of Prayojan. So this 15, 16 and 17 are there, are those verses. 18th of verse is Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityānanda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. That is every time he will do that. Every chapter starts with that. Second verse of every chapter is usually that. So then he explains the 3 deities, what they mean, how the Diksha Guru is actually representation of Sambandhadideva, Madan Mohan. The Shiksha Gurus are Abhidheyadideva representatives. So the Diksha Guru can be Siksha Guru also. He also can teach and he gives the initiation. So in this way, so he explains a little bit about that and then goes to the first verse. Back to the first verse. He starts to explain the first verse. So all these, so 15, 16, 17 are the Sambandha Abhidheya Prayojan. But the first 14 verses are glorifying the Panchatattva. But not all are glorifying all Panchatattva. The first 6 verses are glorifying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The next 5 verses are glorifying Nityānanda Prabhu. Then 2 verses for Advaita Prabhu. And then that is 12 and 13. 14th verse is the Panchatattva itself. All 5, including Gadadhar and Srivas. So, like that it's constructed, the first 14 verses. So what I am saying is the first 7 verses, first 7 chapters of Chaitanya Charitamrita are based on only explaining these 14 verses. So, the first 7 chapters are explaining these 14 verses. So the first chapter is explaining the first 2 verses of the 14 verses. The second chapter is explaining the third verse of the first 14 verses. Third chapter is explaining the 4th verse of the first 14 verses. 4th chapter is explaining the 5th and 6th verses. 5th chapter is explaining 7th to 11th verses, 5 verses of Nityānanda Prabhu. So that chapter, which is the glories of Nityānanda Balaram, is actually expansion of these 5 verses. In great detail he will go. Each chapter got I think that Nityānanda Prabhu, every chapter of those first 7, extremely long. I think they go until 280 verses or something, one chapter. Yeah. That's very important. So the 6th chapter is only explanation of 12th and 13th verses, and the 7th chapter is the 14th verse explanation. So in this way he expanded upon the glories first, and then the author receives the orders of the Kṛṣṇa and Guru, how he is writing this under the order of the Guru and the Vaishnavas, and then he explains the parampara of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's disciplic succession after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, branches, sub-branches of the Chaitanya tree. Because ours is one branch, but there are thousands of branches, but ours is the most prominent one. Then expansions of Nityānanda, expansion of Advaita and Gadadhar, and then only starts the Leela. So this is how he started. This is how he wrote the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we, instead of going through the 5th chapter, let's see how many verses are there, which is the glories of Nityānanda. Let's see. This is the explanation of the 5 verses. "235 verses, just to explain the 5 verses. So, we're not going to really go into all of that, but actually for your own listening, you can read them. Now, let's see. So what we just read is the 7th verse. The first verse among the 5 verses glorifying Nityānanda Prabhu. 7 to 11 is Nityānanda Prabhu. So even that there is an order. In this 7th verse, which is the first verse glorifying Nityānanda Prabhu, it is said that Nityānanda Prabhu is Balaram himself, whose expansions are Sankarshan, Karanodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu and Sheshanag. All are expansions of Balaram, who is Nityānanda Prabhu. Now, Sankarshan is in the spiritual world. All the rest are in the material world. The Karanodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu and Sheshanag, they are in the material world. The expansions of the Lord. So, the next verse, which is 1:8, is only Sankarshan. Next, ninth verse is only Mahavishnu, Karanodakashaya Vishnu. 10th one only Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. 11th one Kshirodakashaya Vishnu and Sheshanag. Whereas just now the one we read is all five. And then he goes each like that. So that's how he wrote. So we will just chant this verse also. मायातीते व्यापि वैकुण्ठलोके पूर्णैश्वर्ये श्रीचतुर्व्यूहमध्ये रूपं यस्योद्भाति सङ्कर्षणाख्यम् तं श्रीनित्यानन्दरामं प्रपद्ये. So this is the position of Sankarshan, who is an expansion. So, okay. So Maya, Atite, all this, we will go to the translation. I surrender unto the lotus feet of Sri Nityānanda Ram, who is known as Sankarshan in the midst of the Chaturvyuha, consisting of Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. He possesses full opulences and resides in Vaikuntha-loka, far beyond the material creation. Now this Chaturvyuha is the Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. You know this Chaturvyuha? So, Krishna's first expansion is who? Balaram. Balaram is Krishna's first incarnation. Not incarnation. Incarnation is when avatar is when he descends. The word avatar, what means? Yeah. Nowadays, avatar means, profile picture. Movie avatar. So actually, avatar does not mean that, and sometimes costume, that is also But actually, avatar, if you know music, sa re ga ma pa da ni sa ni dha pa ma ga re sa. So ascending is aroha, and arohana means ascending. Descending is avarohana. So ava means descend, a means ascend, atar means ascending, avatar means descending. So the one who descends is called avatar, and he is termed as incarnation in English. But when it is not descending, because Sankarshan is not descending into the material world, he is only in the spiritual world. At that time we will not call incarnation or avatar, because he doesn't descend anywhere. He is called amsha or expansion, kala. Plenary portion. Plenary means equal in power. Although portion means like a part of it, but actually it's not part of it. Plenary portion. If you take one apple and then cut one piece out of it, one piece gone. So that is portion. Plenary portion means take out a size of piece which is as big as the apple. But in the material world, when you take out like that, then there is no apple here. But in the spiritual world, Kṛṣṇa is not like that. 1 plus 1 equal to 1, 1 minus 1 equal to 1 in spiritual world. So even if you take Kṛṣṇa out of Kṛṣṇa, still Kṛṣṇa remains. So like Kṛṣṇa and the cowherd boys, when he expanded himself into so many cowherd boys, all of them are as powerful as him. But it is not that, because they expanded, now he became weak. No, he is still the same. Advaitam but Ananta Rupam. So, first expansion of Kṛṣṇa is Balaram. Not incarnation, expansion. Balaram. And from Balaram, the next expansions are the Chaturvyuha. Vyuha means, in army, in the phalanx. Vyuha. Chakravyuha. Padmavyuha. Arrangement. Series. No. Chakravyuha is a formation, like a chakra. The formation of all the armies, they will form like a circle. Chakravyuha. Chakravyuha is the most difficult to come out of. The whole chakra will be moving like this. Everybody will be moving. Yeah. Entering is also very difficult. And if somebody has entered, almost certainly he is going to die. Only very few know how to get out of it. Go in and get out. The Pandavas, none of them knew except Arjuna. Yes. Krishna knows, Arjuna knows, and Dronacharya knows, Bhishmadev knows, Karna I think knows, if I'm not wrong. And Abhimanyu, he knows how to go in, but he does not know how to come out. Apparently, I don't know this story is true or not, that when he was in the womb of his mother, Arjuna was Krishna or Arjuna was explaining how to go in and come out. But when he was describing how to come out, then Subhadra fell asleep and he did not hear inside the womb. But I did not find a reference for that. Apparently, he learnt military art from his father and then he learned. So therefore, Arjuna was on one side and Abhimanyu was trying to enter into the Chakravyuha. And at that time, the plan was, okay, even though I don't know how to come out, I will go in. You also come with me. So Bhima, Yudhishthir, Nakula, Sahadev, they all wanted to quickly, as he go in, immediately they go behind him. But he went in there, but the thing was closed. They could not enter. So it's like a chakra moving like that. Everybody will move. Everybody will move. All the warriors in the. So anyway, they could not enter anymore. He was inside, and then he was mercilessly killing everybody. He could have come out. Come out means not come out of it. He killed everybody, so he's out. So he could have done that. But they cheated and then they killed him. Yeah, by 7 of them all surrounded and then they killed him in a cheating way, not by rules. So anyway, there is Vyuha. Vyuha means a formation, arrangement. So Chatur Vyuha is not exactly an army formation here. Chatur means 4. So the 4 deities who are Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. All 4-handed form. Actually, all of them have different. The Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. Conch, lotus flower, Gada, club, and disc, the Sudarshan Chakra. So they are arranged differently in different hands. So accordingly they have names. So actually there are 24 like that. That tilak we put are the first 12 of the 24. Om Kesavaya Namaha, Om Narayana Namaha, Om Madhavaya Namaha, Om Govinda Namaha, Om Vishnuvaya Namaha, Om Madhusudana Namaha, Om Trivikrama Namaha, Om Vamana Namaha, Om Sridhara Namaha, Om Rishikesha Namaha, Om Padmanabha Namaha, Om Damodara Namaha. And it goes even 12 more. I used to chant because when I was Smartha, Brahmin so-called initiation when I was a 10-year-old boy, like Samarth's age. That time we used to do Sandhya, we used to tell all the 24. We also put tilak like this. But Om Kesavaya Namaha, Om Narayana Namaha. Look at that. So, and then after the 12, they continue with all the 24 until Om Hare Namaha, Om Sri Kṛṣṇāya Namaha. That Sri Kṛṣṇa is not the Krishna, is the 4-handed form. He is also one of the 24. So anyway, each of these 4 have 3 sub formation. Like from Vasudev there are 3, from Sankarshan there are 3, Pradyumna there are 3, from Aniruddha there are 3. Actually not from here, I think the next one. So anyway, it's very, very, very technical. If you see teachings of Lord Chaitanya, you will see very, very technical all this is meant. It's actually a summary of these first 7 chapters. That part. Mind will be like, too much technical. So anyway, from Balaram expands the Chaturvyuha, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. And from that Sankarshan expands another Chaturvyuha, second Chaturvyuha, which is Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha again. That is called Mahasankarshan. The 4, the Sankarshan is called Mahasankarshan. And that Sankarshan is referred to here. Sankarshana Karanato Yashaya. So, because from him expand all the Narayan of every single Vaikuntha planet has a Narayan, 4-handed form. So all of them expand from this Mahasankarshan. And the Karanodakasaya Vishnu, Garbhodakasaya Vishnu, Kshirodakasaya Vishnu, they are called avatar. Sheshanag is called avatar. They are avatar because they descend. Then they are also expanding from Mahasankarshan. You know? So since Balaram is the originator, origin of all these expansions, and Nityananda Prabhu is Balaram, so that's why these verses are like this. He possesses full opulences and resides in Vaikuntha Loka, far beyond the material creation. So Sankarshan is in the spiritual world. Now, next verse. Maya bharta janda sanghashrayangah shete sakshat karanam bodhi madhye yasyaikamshah shri pumanadidevas tam Shri Nityānanda Rāmam prapadye. So this is explanation of Kṛṣṇa Vishnu with expansion of Nityānanda Prabhu. Translation: I offer my full obeisances under the feet of Sri Nityānanda Ram, whose partial representation called Kṛṣṇa Vishnu, lying on the Karana ocean, is the original Purusha, the master of the illusory energy and the shelter of all the universes. Next. This is interesting how he constructed this verse and the next verse. You see here, Yasyaikamshaha, right? So the word amsha is once, right? Once. Now let's see the next verse. Yasyamshamshaha shrila garbhodashayi Yannabhyabjam loka sanghatanalam Lokasrashtuh sutikādhāma dhātus Tam Shri Nityānanda Rāmam prapadye. Yasya amsha amshaha. 2 times amsha. So, portion of the plenary portion. Because from Sankarshan, from Balaram comes Sankarshan. From that Sankarshan comes the Mahasankarshan. Mahasankarshan comes the Kṛṣṇa Vishnu. From Kṛṣṇa comes the Garbhodakṣaya Vishnu. From Garbhodakṣaya Vishnu extends the Kshirodakṣaya Vishnu. So it's Amsha Amsha. Next verse, it will come 3 times Amsha. So, see, Amsha Amsha, portion of a plenary portion. This is about Garbhodakṣaya Vishnu. I offer my full obeisances under the feet of Sri Nityānanda Ram, a partial part of whom is Garbhodakṣaya Vishnu. From the navel of Garbhodakṣaya Vishnu sprouts the lotus that is the birthplace of Brahma, the engineer of the universe. The stem of that lotus is the resting place of the multitude of planets. All the planets that we see are within the stem of that lotus. That was so loud for the live stream. So all the planets are within the stem of that lotus only. Okay, next verse. Yasyam sham sham shah paratma khilanam poshta vishnur bhati dugdhabdhishayi Kshauni bharta yat kalasopyanantas Tam Shri Nityānanda Rāmam prapadye. I offer my respectful obeisances under the feet of Sri Nityānanda Ram, whose secondary part is the Vishnu lying in the ocean of milk. That Kshirodakṣaya Vishnu is the super soul of all living entities and the maintainer of all the universes. Seshanag is his further subpart. So there are 3 Amcha. Amcha, Amcha, Amcha. So very nicely is constructed these verses. And if you also noticed, there are 3 words for milk used here. Kshirodakṣaya Vishnu, Payobdhishai Vishnu and Dugdhabdhishai Vishnu. So Kshira means milk, Payaha means milk, Dugdha means milk. So there are so many things like this you can notice. Even in Mukundamala Stotram, there are all the 53 verses are there. So many different ways of mentioning lotus. I actually wanted to, so I'm taking a note of summary study of Mukundamala Stotra. So whatever observations I have, seen, I'm just noting down. So many different ways of referring to a lotus. It's interesting, very interesting. So if we observe these things, then next time the word is used somewhere else, then oh, dugdha, yeah, dugdha means milk, like you will be able to. Payah means milk, what is that? Sweet payasam. You see payasam? Actually, it's coming from paya, milk. Not here. The first verse. So here, payaha. Kshirodakshaya Vishnu lies in the ocean of milk. There is one payovrata. Vrata means vow. Milk, vow. 12 days of drinking only milk, and then so many other rules which I think who tells who? I always forget these stories. Is it Kashyapa to Diti? No, she did another thing, right? Anyway, either somebody will help me in the comment section or I'll find out later. So, anyway, so in this way, Nityānanda Prabhu's glories are mentioned because sometimes even in the Mahabharata serial, if you see, what is it? Chopra, the original series, Mahabharata serial on TV. So Kṛṣṇa is there and Balaram is there, but Balaram, they don't show him as like a supreme personality of Godhead. Like Kṛṣṇa, they will choose some handsome looking man, and Balaram, they will choose one pot belly fellow, like half middle aged fellow like that. They don't show him as a supreme personality of Godhead. Balaram is usually not understood because Balaram, Lakshman also, they take a subordinate position to Ram or Kṛṣṇa like that. Although Balaram is elder brother, he serves Kṛṣṇa like just like elder brother will protect his younger brother, like that kind of mood he has. So in that way he serves him. So actually you will find this in this full chapter, which is expansion of these 5 verses. Each of the verses, each of the things he will explain in great detail in the 5th chapter of the Adilila, about Nityānanda Prabhu. So in that he will explain that Sheshanag, who is the bed of the Lord, and in another form he also holds all the planets on his head. Sheshanag. His name is called Shesha because Shesha means end, the end. Why his name is the end? Because he has reached the end of service to Kṛṣṇa. That is also explained nicely. 5th chapter, 120th verse, 20, like that. So that means he completely serves the Lord. I mean, he has reached the limit of completely serving the Lord. So actually he doesn't need us really. Why he is coming and canvassing for us? He doesn't need us. So Sheshanag is already there, Ananta Shesha. So when he comes as Lakshman, he also serves Ram. When he comes as Balram, he serves Kṛṣṇa. And like that. And as when he's in the Sheshanag feature, he is serving the Lord as a bed. Not only bed, the flute, the cloth, everything is produced by him. Umbrella is expansion of Sheshanag, Sankarshan. So this Nityānanda Prabhu also assisted in the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So of course, to discuss the pastime of Nityānanda Prabhu, it will take forever. Now I just wanted to show this position of Nityānanda Prabhu here, and maybe one verse I will take out, which is very nice verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 16.65, I think. Madhya. Yeah. Yes. So this verse. So if you know, Balaram is the Adi Guru. You know, Balaram is the Adi Guru. He is the original Guru. You know, they say sometimes Guru Gauranga Jayatu. Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Jayatu. Have you every time heard this? Guru Gauranga Jayatu? All glories to Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. What are we saying there? What is the meaning? All glories to Guru and Gauranga. What is the meaning? Here the Guru means actually Nityānanda Prabhu. Why is Balaram the original Guru? Because what does a Guru do? Guru does two things. He serves the Lord always and he glorifies the Lord and preaches his message. So as Seshanag, with his thousands of hoods of the snake, he is always glorifying the Lord. And in the same Seshanag and also Sankarshan everywhere, he is serving the Lord in every single way. That's why his name is Sesha. He has reached the limit of service. So he is always engaged in the service of the Lord and he is glorifying the Lord. So he is teaching us how to serve the Lord by instructions and by, practical example. Acharya. Acharya means by achar, by his work, he will teach by his action. So because the Lord is always serving the Supreme, Kṛṣṇa, therefore he is actually the original Guru, Balaram. So Nityānanda Prabhu is also original Guru. Now, the spiritual master is an expansion of Nityānanda Prabhu, representative of Nityānanda Prabhu. Actually, it is said that devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are of two kinds. One coming from Nityānanda Prabhu, and other are expansions of Radharani. So anyway, Radharani is also always serving. In fact, her name also, Radha, means what? Who is the personification of Aradhana. Aradhana means worship. Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnur Aradhanam param. You know the words? Lord Shiva said that of all worship, Vishnu worship is highest. Tasmat parataram devi tadiyanam samarchanam. Higher than his worship is the worship of his devotees. So Aradhana means worship. And Radha is a personification of Aradhana. She is also personification of worshipping Kṛṣṇa. So she is also a spiritual master actually of everyone. So anyway, Nityānanda Prabhu is the original spiritual master and now what is a spiritual master? What can he do? That is mentioned in this verse. So I will just cover this verse for this class. Because here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asks Nityānanda Prabhu to go out and preach. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Prithivite Achajata Nagaradi Gram Sarvatra Prachar Hoive Mornam. You know, right? What is the meaning? Do you know he said this?
So, spread my name everywhere in the world, to every city.
No, he never said spread my name. He said my name will be spread. He predicted. That was a prediction, it was not an order. It was a prediction that his name will be spread in every Prithivite Ache. I think you understand Bengali, right? Prithivite Ache Jata Nagaradi Gram Sarvatra Prachar Hoibe Mor Nam. Easy to understand, right? Every town and village of the world, my name will be preached. This is actually from Chaitanya Bhagavat. And the wording is actually slightly different. पृथ्वी थे आछे जत देश आदि ग्राम, something like this. Sarvatra prachar hoibe more naams. Like this it will be. But Prabhupada always said in this way. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could have done it himself. He is God. But he predicted. Because he wants to glorify his devotee. And at one point he asked Nityānanda Prabhu to go out and preach. And then he said this particular verse. তাহা সিদ্ধি করে হেন অন্য না দেখিয়ে আমার দুষ্কর কর্ম তোমা হইতে হয় আমার দুষ্কর কর্ম তোমা হইতে হয় This is very important. This is the humility of the Lord and at the same time his glorification of his devotee. Now let's see. And Prabhupada's purport is also very beautiful. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued. He is speaking to Nityānanda Prabhu. You can perform a task that even I cannot do. Amar dushkar karma tuma hoite hoy. But for you, I cannot find anyone in Gaudadesh who can fulfill my mission there. Nityānanda Prabhu wanted to stay with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri. He did not want to go back to Bengal. Every Rath Yatra, all the Bengali devotees come to Jagannath Puri. And then after that, they go back after Rath Yatra. For Rath Yatra, they will come. Then Nityānanda Prabhu did not want to go back. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, you have to go back and preach. So there also Prabhupada mentions that preaching the message is more important than staying with the Lord. To carry out his order is more important than staying with the Lord. So at that time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says this, you can perform a task even I cannot do. But for you, it means except for you, I cannot find anyone in Gaudadesh who can fulfill my mission there. So now, how can Chaitanya Mahaprabhu not do it? And how can Nityānanda Prabhu do it? Purport. Lord Chaitanya's mission is to deliver the fallen souls of this age. In this age of Kali, practically 10% of the population is fallen. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu certainly delivered many fallen souls, but his disciples mainly came from the upper classes. For example, he delivered Srila Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and many others who were socially elevated but fallen from the spiritual point of view. Srila Rupa and Sanatana Goswamis were situated in government service, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was the topmost scholar of India. Similarly, Prakashananda Saraswati was a leader of many thousands of Mayavadi sannyasis. It was Srila Nityānanda Prabhu, however, who delivered persons like Jaya and Madhai. So, you understand the point. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered the higher sections of society and all the elites. Nityānanda Prabhu delivered actually the fallen souls. So if you see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, yes, delivered, Jagai Madhai drama we do every Gaura Purnima, but actually Nityānanda Prabhu was the cause of the deliverance. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to kill them. Nityānanda Prabhu begged and, through his mercy they were delivered. Of course, through his mercy, they got Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy and they were delivered. So therefore Lord Chaitanya says, Amar dushkar karma toma hoite hoy. Jagai and Madhai were delivered solely by Nityānanda Prabhu's mercy. When they injured Nityānanda Prabhu, Lord Chaitanya became angry and decided to kill them with his Sudarshan Chakra, but Nityānanda Prabhu saved them from the Lord's wrath and delivered them. In the incarnation of Gaura Nitai, the Lord is not supposed to kill demons, but is supposed to deliver them by preaching Kṛṣṇa consciousness. In the case of Jagai and Madhai, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so angry that he would have immediately killed them, but Nityānanda Prabhu was so kind that he not only saved them from death, but elevated them to the transcendental position. Thus, what was not possible for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was carried out by Nityānanda Prabhu. Similarly, if one is true to Gaura Nitai's service in the disciplic succession, he can even excel Nityānanda Prabhu's service. This is the process of disciplic succession. Nityānanda Prabhu delivered Jagai and Madhai, but a servant of Nityānanda Prabhu by his grace can deliver many thousands of Jagais and Madhais. That is the special benediction of the disciplic succession. So this is the very, very important point. This is very, very important. So spiritual life, one becomes dāsa, dāsa, servant of the servant of. So it sounds like, I'm going to be very far from Kṛṣṇa. I'm not going to be close with Kṛṣṇa, I'm going to be servant of the servant of the servant of the servant somewhere over, like this is not really with Krishna. But actually, the servant of the servant, how much you're servant, that much Krishna will notice. Very different. And he will make sure that your service is higher than the previous. That's das servant is higher than the previous das. That das servant is higher than the previous das. So like that. And that first das will be higher than Krishna himself. So you see how, so Krishna's, how much you become das, that much Krishna will elevate us. You are higher, higher, higher. Like you see, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he conceptualized in his mind, and he was praying that, in fact, he predicted also that soon there will be a personality who will spread this all over the world. And actually, you know what actually Bhaktivinoda Thakur predicted. I think many of the people might not have seen. I don't know where to find now. This is really interesting. Let me do a random search and see if I can find. This is super interesting. I don't know if in the comment section, yeah, Radhika Mataji is that she knows these quotes about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, how it will become the most dominant movement in the world, most dominant religion. It will become the mainstream religion of the world. This our Hare Krishna movement. Yeah. No, no. Huh? It will. That is a prediction. It's very interesting. If somebody can like help me with that, where to find that? This is like nothing. How to find that now? What is those three predictions? Okay, these are not only the three predictions, even more than these. In fact, I want to really show that. Let's see if somebody at all. I don't think they're there. They just said Hare Krishna and went off. Otherwise, by now there will be a comment already, but it's not there. Okay. Anyway, he said that Lord Chaitanya's movement. I have noted it also somewhere. This is very bad. I have it readily available. There's absolutely nothing. I even put it also on the Sanatan Dharma, that thing I did for Janmashtami, that roadshow kind of thing, no? Yeah, yeah. So I put it there, one of the quotes. Very unfortunate. It's still not there. Okay. So there is a special benediction of the disciplic succession, but by the servant of, and by the mercy of Nityānanda, one can do more service. So, if you see Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he dreamed of it, and he preached also. He talked so much in different places, and he wrote books. Then he prayed to Kṛṣṇa to bring a soul who can actually preach widely. Then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur came, and then he is the one who organized the preaching. Bhaktivinoda Thakur did not organize the preaching. He did not have like a society and like temples construction and making devotees, initiating them and like going everywhere and making temples. He did not do that. Establishing deity worship, all this did not. He preached, and then he wrote, and then he really he dreamed of it, and he prayed to Kṛṣṇa to send someone. Bhaktivinoda Thakur did. It's not that Bhaktivinoda Thakur cannot do it. He can also do every single. In fact, in one verse there is there in the 10th chapter of Adilila. He mentioned so many hundreds of names were mentioned as devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who are in the disciplic succession, and Krishnadas Kaviraj says each one of them can deliver the whole universe. So powerful. So, but it's just to show that dāsa dāsa principle, that Bhaktivinoda Thakur did all that, and he sent some books to the foreign country, the teachings and life and precepts of Lord Chaitanya. Then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur organized the preaching, printing press, books. He brought structure into the preaching. And then all over India he established Gaudiya Math. And then he asked his disciples to go out to the other countries to preach. Bon Maharaj, all of them were sent but failed. But he did not go. He could have gone, but he did not go. Then Prabhupada went. So if you see, seemingly, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur excelled Bhaktivinoda Thakur's service. Prabhupada excelled Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's service, but only by their mercy. It's not that, oh, I have excelled, so I am greater than my Guru. No. Always because of the Guru. So they never, like Prabhupada never became proud, oh, I am greater than my Guru now. No, he said, this is only because of my Guru. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also like that. So Nityānanda Prabhu, this is actually from here. So this nice purport is given. So disciplic succession, how one becomes dāsa, dāsa, then he actually becomes more and more noticed by Kṛṣṇa. The farther we become dāsa, dāsa. One who is situated in the disciplic succession can be understood by the result of his activities. This is whether we are in the parampara or not, is understood by the result of his activities. This is always true as far as the activities of the Lord and his devotees are concerned. You know what this means? One who is situated in the disciplic succession can be understood by the result of his activities. Means what? So it is not technically called becoming better than the Guru, because there is an offense actually. Yes. So all not necessarily how much but he has effect. His preaching has effect. One is situated in the disciplic succession can be understood by the result of his activities. It means his preaching, what he says is exactly what the Acharya says, and he preaches, and then he can make so many Vaishnavas. So one who is connected, he can make like not just so many Vaishnavas in number only, but in proper Vaishnava, like character and proper training. Like many, like ISKCON, there are so many numbers, high numbers, but quality is decreasing day by day. That's why in ISKM we are trying to, put up some standards. I am not saying that every devotee in ISKM is up to standard. No, not at all. Not at all. But that is what we must come to. At least the leaders should be that. And it's not that, leaders are, the high standards for leaders. Followers all we can see. No, that is not the point. Every devotee should be a potent preacher. And it will happen if we take to the process. So therefore Lord Shiva says, Aradhanam sarvesham Vishnur aradhanam param tasmat parataram devi tadiyanam samarchanam. Of all types of worship, worship of Lord Vishnu is best, and better than the worship of Lord Vishnu is the worship of his devotee, the Vaishnava Padma Purana. By the grace of Vishnu, a Vaishnava can render better service than Vishnu. That is a special prerogative of a Vaishnava. The Lord actually wants to see his servants work more gloriously than himself. For instance, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Sri Krishna provoked Arjuna to fight because all the warriors on the battlefield were to die by Krishna's plan. Krishna himself did not want to take credit. Rather, he wanted Arjuna to take credit. Therefore, he asked him to fight and win fame. Tasmat tvamuttishta yasho labhasva jitva shatrun bhungshva rajyam samriddham mayaivaite nihitaha purvameva nimittamatram bhava savyasachin. Therefore, get up, prepare to fight and win glory. Conquer your enemies and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement, and you, O Savyasachi, can be but an instrument in the fight. So actually, although the devotee can do more service, it is actually not that he is greater than. Like even if you see Ramayana, Hanuman was the one who was jumping, bringing mountain, jumping to Lanka, found Sita and burned the Lanka and came back. In the fight also, he fought with Kumbhakarna. He was doing the majority of the work. Ram was just walking, shooting arrows, like an ordinary human. Whereas Hanuman was doing much more to greater jumping than Ram. But Hanuman always knows it's only because of Ram. So Krishna always tries to glorify his devotee. That's why when I think Dr. Patel, that who always argues with Prabhupada, he asked the question, if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is God, why did he not preach himself? Why did he say that in the future it will be done? And Prabhupada said, he left that for me. Yeah. So that is then why all the devotees were Jaya, Jaya Prabhupada, and everybody is like. So actually there is a fact. He did not do it. He only predicted so that he did not want to take the credit. He wanted to give the credit to his devotee. And he knew, of course, who is going to come. Prabhupada is going to come. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew very well. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur also predicted. He could have done himself. But again, like Ganga to come down, Ganga was not coming down on earth. It took 3 generations for the Ganga to come down. What is the names of I always forget all these names. First was who? Finally, the grandson, Bhagirath. He was the one who was successful in bringing Ganga to the earth. First was Anshuman, is that? So and then he could not. Then his son tried, he also could not. But then his grandson could. So like that, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, then finally Prabhupada. But it's not that could not, there's that giving chance to That's why one time there's this conversation that is recorded on video also, Prabhupada. He was in the room and all the big GBC, all the big sannyasis were in the room, and then they asked the question, one of them asked the question, that Prabhupada Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that he is leaving this world with his work unfinished. What is the meaning of this, Prabhupada? Prabhupada said, yes, so let's finish it. So then he said, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is Vaishnava, he is all powerful, he can do everything on his own. But he left it for us so that we will have some service to do. So this is his mercy. So we should take up that mission and continue on. So in that way, he said, thus the Supreme Personality of Godhead gives credit to a devotee who performs any heavy task perfectly. Hanumanji or Vajrangi, the servant of Lord Ramchandra, serves as another example. It was Hanumanji who jumped over the sea in one leap and reached the shore of Lanka from the shore of Bharatvarsh. When Lord Ramchandra chose to go there, he paved the way with stones, although by his will the stones were able to float on the sea. If we simply follow Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions and follow in the footsteps of Sri Nityānanda Prabhu, this Krishna consciousness movement can advance and even more difficult tasks can be performed by the preachers remaining faithful to the service of the Lord. So, a person who is really connected to the parampara can achieve difficult tasks in the matter of preaching. That is a sign that a person is actually connected. He is breaking barriers in the preaching field. Like going out of India is a big barrier. For Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was thinking how to, preach. I want a preacher who can really preach. And Kṛṣṇa sent Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Wow, he just, you know, organized everything. The printing of books department, preaching temple department, preaching department, temple construction, and travelers, traveling and preaching, defeating the atheists. Everything was a department. Everything organized nicely. And all over India. Then that was a barrier broken. Then next barrier was beyond India. Prabhupada broke the barrier. Not only one continent, all 6 continents he went. And now there is still more barriers to break. Prabhupada left some service for the future devotees. Because the actual prediction was every town and village. It went to every single continent, but not actually every town and village. Maybe there are devotees but maybe not every single town and village. And there's not a temple in every town and village. So that has to happen. And that service Prabhupada left for future devotees. So whoever is fortunate will take up, they can do. Then that is a sign of one who is connected in the parampara. I think that is it. Yeah. So in this regard, I think before we stop, I already passed 10. Okay, so just a little bit. Prabhu was showing these verses, very, very nice verses. Let's see the comment section. Is there anything? Okay, nothing. Still that. So who is this? Tarini Nath Aghori Durga Devi. Pranam Prabhu, can you please explain why the incarnation of Sri Chaitanya was not mentioned previously in the 10 avatars? Thank you. So, we have done a class session. There is one lecture in our channel in which I have mentioned the extensive Vedic references to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 10 incarnations is nothing. There are unlimited incarnations. In the 3rd chapter of the 1st canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 24 incarnations mentioned. And even they are nothing. It is said that as the waves of the ocean are always coming, you will always see waves in the ocean. Unlimited number of waves. Like that, incarnations are always coming. There is no end. There is no beginning, there is no end. So, if he is not mentioned in the 10 incarnations, that doesn't mean he is not an incarnation. Even Kṛṣṇa is not mentioned in the 10 incarnations because he is avatari. Do you know? He is not one of the 10 incarnations. Do you know? No. What are you reading? Kṛṣṇa is not there among the 10. Kṛṣṇa is not there at all in the 10 incarnations, Dasavatar. Balaram is there. And Buddha is there. Kṛṣṇa is not mentioned. If you see the Dashavatara Stotra of Jayadeva Goswami, Kṛṣṇa is not there. Why is not there? Because he is the avatari. He is the source of all incarnations. Whereas in the Bhagavatam, 24 incarnations are mentioned. In that, Kṛṣṇa is mentioned. But in the 28th verse of the chapter, Ete chamsa kala pumsha Kṛṣṇastu Bhagavan Swayam. Ete cha amsha kala pumsaha. Amsha means plenary portion. Kala means portion of a plenary portion. So every other incarnation mentioned in this chapter are Ete cha amsha kala pumsaha. Ete cha amsha kala pumsaha. Kṛṣṇastu Bhagavan Swayam. So Kṛṣṇa is the original Supreme Personality of God. Everybody else is his portion and plenary portion. Bhagavatam also says. So, Jayadeva Goswami did not mention Krishna. He mentioned in the last verse, Vedan Uddharito. Let's. Okay, you see this song here. This is the Dashavatara Sutra we sang yesterday because Varaha Dvadashi. But if you see the last verse, Vedan Uddharate Jaganti Vahate Bhugolam Udbibhrate Daityam Dharayate Balim Chalayate Kshatrakshayam Kurvate Paulastyam Jayate Halam Kalayate Karunyamatanmate Mlechan Murchayate Dashakriti Krite Krishnaya Tubhyam Nama. So he summarizes all 10 incarnations in this one verse. Matsya to summary. And finally he says, Krishnaya Tubhyam Nama. He is the source of all incarnation. He is the avatari. So, just because it's not mentioned in the 10, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not. Bhagavatam itself has mentions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 7, 9, 38, 11, 5, 32, 33, 34, 35. So these are all Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's. And not only this, there is Chaitanya Upanishad. So many references, so many. We have covered this in one whole lecture. All the Vedic references of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So anyway, what was I explaining? Yeah, 1084. So Krishna glorifying his devotees, right? So that part. It starts at 11, I think. Oh, 9, sorry. I'll just read the translations, words and translation. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Aho Vayam Janmabhrito Labdham Kartsunyena Tatphalam Devanamapi Dushprapam Yad Yogeshwara Darshanam. Supreme Lord said, now our lives are indeed successful, for we have obtained life's ultimate goal, the audience of great yoga masters, which even demigods only rarely obtain. These yoga masters are the devotees. So Krishna is saying, he is addressing a whole assembly of saintly people in the Kurukshetra, but not during the war. This is later. This is all later when they all came there for eclipse. So anyway, so he's saying we have obtained life's goal. What is the life's goal? The audience of great yoga masters. That means to meet devotees. Meeting devotees is life's greatest ultimate goal, which even demigods rarely obtain, association of devotees. Now, then next. Kim Svalpatapasam Niranam Archayam Deva Chakshusham Darshana Sparshana Prashna Prahvapadarchanadikam. How is it that people who are not very austere and who recognize God only in his deity form in the temple can now see you, touch you, inquire from you, bow down to you, worship your feet and serve you in other ways? So he is glorifying the devotees. How come people who are not at all qualified actually in any way, those who think deity is only God is not anywhere else. So how can they serve you? This is your great. Nahyam mayani tirthani na deva mritchila mayah te punantyuru kalena darshanadeva sadhavaha. Mere bodies of water are not the real sacred places of pilgrimage, nor are mere images of earth and stone the true worshipable deities. These purify one only after a long time, but saintly sages purify one immediately upon being seen. Devotees are more powerful than even the deity. नाग्निर्न सूर्यो न च चन्द्रतारका न भूजलं खं श्वसनोऽथवान्मनः उपासिता भेदकृतो हरन्त्यघं विपश्चितो घ्नन्ति मुहूर्तसेवया. Neither the demigods controlling fire, the sun, moon, stars, nor those in charge of earth, water, fire, air, ether, speech and mind actually remove the sins of their worshippers, who continue to see in terms of dualities. But wise sages destroy one's sins when respectfully served for even a few moments. Krishna is saying all this, glorifying his devotees. यस्यात्मबुद्धिः गुणपेत्रिधातुके स्वधीः कलत्रादिषु भौम इज्यति यत्तीर्थबुद्धिः सलिलेन कर्हिचित् जनेष्वभिज्ञेषु स एव घोकरः. This is a very famous verse. One who identifies himself as the inert body composed of mucus, bile and air, means one who considers himself a body, who assumes his wife and family are permanently his own, who thinks an earthen image of the land of his birth is worshipable, or who sees a place of pilgrimage as merely the water there, but who never identifies himself with, feels kinship with, worships, or even visits those who are wise in spiritual truth. Such a person is no better than a cow or an ass. That means even if one goes to, if one worships a deity or one becomes a patriotic, land of his birth he worships, or he goes to Tirtha Yatra, only takes Ganga, Snan, and then comes back without any association of devotees and any hearing of the topics of Krishna. One who considers himself the body, all these are animals. Main thing is, in other words, the main thing is the association of devotees. All other pious activities have no meaning if they don't culminate in the association of devotees. So again, Krishna says all these things glorifying the devotees, but you see what the devotees say now. I think 4 or 5 verses are there, then we'll stop. Shri Munaya Uchuhu Yanmaya Tattvavit Vimohita Vishwasrijamadhishvara Yadishitavya Yati Gudha Ihaya Aho Vichitram Bhagavad Vicheshtitam. Tattvavit is mentioned here. The great sages said, your power of illusion. Now, he says the devotees are the greatest, right? I mean, the goal of life is their association. In fact, in other words, is even higher glorification of devotees he does. Now, but the sages and they are not fools. Ha ha ha! We are the greatest of all. No, they know their position. So they are actually saying it is only because of you. So that is what they are saying in these verses. Your power of illusion has totally bewildered us, the most exalted knowers of the truth and leaders among the universal creators. How amazing is the behavior of the Supreme Lord. He covers himself with his human-like activities and pretends to be subject to superior control. He pretends like he's subject to superior control, but he's not actually. अनीह एतद् बहुधैक आत्मना सृजत्यवत्यत्ति न बध्यते यथा भौमैर्हि भूमिर्बहुनाम रूपिणी अहो विभूम्नश्चरितं विडम्बनम्. Indeed, the human-like pastimes of the Almighty are simply a pretense. Effortlessly, He alone sends forth from His self this variegated creation, maintains it, and then swallows it up again, all without becoming entangled, just as the element earth takes on many names and forms in its various transformations. अथापि काले स्वजनाभिगुप्तये बिभर्षि सत्त्वं खलनिग्रहाय च स्वलीलया वेदपथं सनातनं वर्णाश्रमात्मा पुरुषः परो भवान्. Nonetheless, at suitable times, you assume the pure mode of goodness to protect your devotees and punish the wicked. Thus, you, the soul of the Varnashram social order, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, maintain the eternal path of the Vedas by enjoying your pleasure pastimes. So, they are basically coming and saying, no, it's you who are great, and even if devotees are great, it's only because you are the one who are putting them in that position. So, of course, it will go on. They glorify more and more. So, basically, that's the thing. Anyway, there is one more nice verse, but I think it is getting too late. So we'll stop here. जय श्री नित्यानंद राम की जय. नित्यानंद त्रयोदशी महामहोत्सव की जय. ताय गौर प्रेमानंद. हरि हरि बोल. हरे कृष्ण.